Greenville, North Carolina versus Raleigh.
Ooh, that's so exciting. And we actually have a personal insight on this because we chose to live in Greenville over being closer to Raleigh for a reason, and we're going to talk about all of that.
Exactly.
But let's first talk about like a simple thing, right? And the second reason is definitely why we chose this area. But number one, to talk about is something simple called climate, right?
Yes, the climate.
Climate is pretty much the same between Greenville and Raleigh. We're only 40 minutes apart. 40 minutes to the beaches. We're about 80 minutes apart by 80 minutes. So that's really like I could be in Raleigh if I need to be in Raleigh. I can be in the big city. We only both have 1 day of snow every single year. So it's not really like Raleigh has slightly colder winters by small degrees, so you will have a little bit more of a heating bill than we do have in Greenville, but very, very slight. That's so slight that it's hard to say. Let's talk about the next one, which is proximity.
Proximity, yeah.
And then we'll talk about the number one reasons we did after our introduction.
What is the proximity? Yes.
Okay, so from Greenville, you're 40 minutes to the nearest beach. You're 80 minutes to an amazing beach, and there's a couple 80 minutes. Raleigh, you're going to be driving 2-3 hours to the great beaches.
Exactly.
So there's a shorter distance. We can go to the beach more often, and I've always grown up coastal, and I love beaches. So, of course, whenever I can go to the beach and just... Beaches makes me naturally relax, so I like to go to the beach whenever I can. So less travel time is amazing, but that's not the reason we chose to live in Greenville. That's next. But first, what should we do?
First, let's
hit it. Hi, it's Alan Fedora. Welcome to our Talent Podcast.
And if this is your first time in our podcast and YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and get notified.
Also, you can call text all the time at 252-327-3357. We love talking to you. Do not be shy. Also, don't forget our buyer's guide and seller's guide in the description below.
Exactly. The next thing that we wanted to talk about is really cost of living.
Absolutely. Number one.
And one of the main things that makes Greenville affordable is housing.
Absolutely. Raleigh, you're getting a very expensive house. The exact same builder will build the exact same house and charge a lot more because you're in the Raleigh, you're in Wake Forest, you're in Zebulon, which shouldn't be that exciting because there's not much in Zebulon, but the limited housing supply, you're going to pay higher in Raleigh. Whereas here in Greenville, 80 minutes away, you're going to get, it's still a city. We have a lot of great, amazing amenities. It still has lots of things to do. And we are way more affordable in owning a home.
Exactly.
And that is why we chose to live here, no? We said, well, wait, we can buy how much more house? Like, we can have this many square feet for this house? Well, that's what we want. So I think that was the number one reason for us on why we chose to live in the area.
The second thing that we wanted to talk about is utility, and the basically cost of living. And the residents in Greenville, they enjoy a less utility or lower utility bills in general, with the city of Raleigh.
Raleigh, you guys are using Duke Energy. Your monthly expenditures are going to be more than the city of Greenville is charging for whatever reason. We have a little bit of a little lower, electrical bills, and I very much enjoy cheaper utilities because what's the purpose? I love to have my lights on. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm filming this video, I need electricity, but I don't like to pay for electricity if I can help it.
Exactly. What is the next one that we wanted to talk about? Basically, commuting and the quality of life.
You don't like my animated signs, right? So basically, a shorter commute will reduce our stress. This is the number one. When we read our fears or scary things of living in Greenville, right? People said, oh, the traffic. But to us, the traffic is amazing. Why?
Exactly. And the crazy thing is sometimes when we wanted to help with clients, we go really to Raleigh in some occasion. But recently when we wanted to basically go to the airport and when I was looking at the driving and the traffic around the Raleigh, it was tremendous crazy.
Yeah, I don't miss that.
And then I just said, because we initially was living in Miami, And
I've always lived in
the
big
traffic. City. And the crazy driving, and I wanted to say, it just so reminded me again. I said, okay, this is one of the things that I was trying to, as much as I can, avoid that.
Right. So having less driving time brings less stress, more savings, more quality time for other things. And as a real estate agent, I'm driving everywhere all the time. So I love that I can go from one end of town to the other. So I know a lot of people wanted us to put this in the scary things about Greenville, but in my heart, I can't, because I know Greenville accidents are up or whatever compared to before, but it's still an amazing place, and our traffic is a breeze compared to so many other places that we've lived. I grew up in Boston. The traffic is just a nightmare there all the time, every hour on the hour. So the fact that I can go to the store in 3 minutes, it took me 3 minutes one day to get all the way to the grocery store. It's so easy. I'm easy breezy. I love it. I don't want to be in that traffic anymore.
Exactly. The next thing that we wanted to talk about, education, and one of the thing about education
is... You skipped divorce?
Well, I didn't want to talk about that, but you want to talk about it?
Yes, because first of all, like I just said, I'm from Boston, right? So Boston, by statistics, has the lowest divorce rates by statewide, which is a weird. But when we look at the by city ones, Raleigh has a higher divorce rate, less family stability than they have here in Greenville. Greenville has lower divorce statistics, more stable family structure, more stronger relationships because the divorce rates are lower. So I just kind of want to point that out because it's a good factor to talk about when you're looking at, well, do I want to be near a bunch of people who are divorced, or do I want to be near people who are like me, happy with their lives? So awesome. Now let's talk about education.
The next thing is about education. The ratio of the student to the teacher in Greenville is 15-1. However, in Raleigh is 17-1.
And when we were picking schools and districts and where we wanted to buy a house, this was a factor on my checklist of what I wanted. I wanted to make sure my kids, if I did have to send them to whatever school, I was going to make sure that they were going to go to a school that they would be able to get attention if they needed to.
Exactly. And the next thing is the healthcare access. And one of the important things is really the number of the doctors per 1,000 capita, per 100,000. And in Greenville, we have 349 doctors per 100,000 people. And the ratio is really respect to the Raleigh, which is 206 doctors for 100,000, much more higher.
Which means if you want to get to a doctor, it's much easier to get to a doctor here than it is in a Raleigh. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about those things, which we should all think about these things sometimes. What about my groceries that I was just talking about, and my toothpaste, and my milk, and all of my groceries? What is about the cost?
Well, in Greenville, this ratio is 84.2%. Which is from the national average of the 100. We are below the national average. And in Raleigh is 97.
Wow. So just from looking at my budget every single day, a higher cost of living in Raleigh means that it's going to affect my bottom line. Less vacations, less exciting, less savings in my account. So it's always good to say, hey, I'm getting all of these things at the lowest price possible. And Greenville won on so many reasons. And this is one of the reasons that we love helping people to move to Greenville. While we love great living in Greenville, we help people stay in Greenville all the time because we love it here.
And I hope you enjoyed this podcast and video. And we love to your comment. Please give us a call also at 252-327-3357. We'd love to help you to relocate.